Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic.
Hello, American Patriots. Welcome to another episode of the Douglas Ducote Show. I'm glad you're able to join us. We're going to continue talking about the border tonight. We've been bringing you a lot of information about the border with Mexico, and the mainstream media seems to have dried up on that story. But as most of you know, it's not going anywhere. It's not getting any better. In fact, it's getting worse. And here at Team Ducote, we have come up with solutions. For instance, the Terrablock system that we've been talking about. We're blessed to have those folks that have came forward with us and talked to us about it through Dr. Jerome Corsi. And if you haven't seen anything about the Terrablock system, please go check it out, look into it, look at some of the videos we've done. Look at the special we did yesterday about the Terrablock system. The mainstream media, look, their attention span is like this, folks. And whatever the main topic is, that's what they're going to focus on. And everything else goes by the wayside. Sadly, in doing that, we have Americans that are being slaughtered by illegal immigrants. We're not talking about the mom and the child that's fleeing drug cartel or the innocents. We're talking about those coming across the border that have felony convictions, have been apprehended and deported 3, 4, 5, 10 times, and judges just slapping them on the wrist and letting them back out the door again. That's the kind of thing that pisses me off, and most, if not all, American patriots. Those of us that believe in the Constitution of the United States, those of us that believe in what our forefathers stood for and fought for. They have given us an opportunity like no other country on God's earth, and too easily we take it for granted. We're here to continue to share that with you. We will cover other news, yes, as we always have. But as we get closer to 2020, I'm going to double down and triple down on bringing up this border. We're going to be going down there next week, doing another investigation and bringing you information that's happening. And of course, as most of you know, come January, we'll be going the entire border from Brownsville, Texas to San Diego, California, and reporting back and showing you what no one else wants to. We're going to show you things that no news media will share with you. Why? Because it's too sickening. Well, I don't have a problem sharing it to you because the American people need to see the sickening that's happening, because that's the only way we're going to ever get off our ass and do what needs to be done, and that is secure this border. So we're going to be bringing on tonight, after the break, Brad Statz and Sergeant Mike Wilson with SecurityAllstar.com. Go check them out if you haven't already done so. They were part of our sponsor. They were a sponsor when we did our border marathon. Great guys, and we're very blessed to have them on tonight. We're going to talk about numerous issues, one of them being the PID system with the Terrablock. And we're also going to be bringing on Dan Govich. His son Spencer was murdered by an illegal alien. And he's going to share a little bit with us about his feelings of where we're at right now in this country with this border And why isn't it secured by now? And why is this such a political football? It shouldn't be. Everybody should be on the same sheet of music with this. Here in America, we welcome immigrants with open arms. We've always done that. Hell, every one of us came from someplace else. But yet, we want you to come here legally. And for some reason, a good portion of our society has decided that that's not how it should be. And they openly don't care. Well, we do here at Team Ducote. So thank you for joining us. Hang in there. We're going to be right back, and we're going to kick off another exciting episode of the Douglas Ducote Show. We'll be right back. Hello, American Patriots. Douglas Ducote here. The Second Amendment, it's not for hunting. It's for protecting ourselves against our government. Well, the last thing you need to worry about is your weapon being rusted and not working. Folks, here's your product. FirearmGuard.com. Use promo code DOUG for free shipping. This will protect your weapon from any rust and mildew issues.
And an FBI check.
This is what Chuck Schumer's talking about right here. He wants to limit your ability to take this and put it in your child's backpack and send them to school with it. Has he been under a rock? Is he aware of where the mass shootings have happened? They've happened in schools. They're affecting 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th graders. They're affecting high schoolers. We want you to have the ability to do something about this and contact Chuck Schumer. If you will simply go to google.com and type in contact Chuck Schumer, S-C-H-U-M-E-R, it will bring you to this page. Please let Chuck Schumer know what you think about this idiotic idea to take away your ability to send your child to school safely. Again, go to Google, type in Chuck, C-H-U-C-K, Schumer, S-C-H-U-M-E-R, and then contact. It'll bring up this screen here. We're here to protect everything related to you and your families.
And we are back. Thank you, folks, for hanging in there. Please welcome Brad and Mike. Hey, guys. Thanks for coming on the show with us.
Good evening.
Good,
Thanks for having me.
good. Hey, Mike, are you at work right now?
I am out on patrol right now, yes.
Thank you for what you're doing, brother. We appreciate it. Hey, folks, Security All-Star was one of our sponsors during the border investigation. Brad, can you, for those that are just tuning in, please tell us a little bit about your background and about your Security All-Star company?
Sure. Well, for what matters for purposes of this show, I've been in the security business about 16 years. Most of that relates to electronic surveillance, security access control, perimeter detection, mostly light commercial. So I'm more of a generalist in some of the things that we want to talk about tonight. But because of the 5 licenses that I hold, I do at least every other year go to both of the major trade show events that happen in the United States. One of them is called the ISC show. It's International Security Conference Trade Show. There's anywhere between 80 and 120,000 people that show up in Las Vegas to go look at all the new wares that manufacturers and vendors are trying to sell to DOD, Homeland Security, even individuals like us. And then, of course, there's the As Is show, which is more law enforcement focused, but that's another trade show where you can go see everything that's been developed, even before it's released to the general public, that's available for law enforcement, that's available for guys that are in the industry like me. And it's pretty cool. I mean, you'll see some neat barriers, and you see some new vehicles equipped with new technology and FLIR and thermal, and it's really interesting what's out there. But that's what we do as a company primarily, is the security side of the industry. We did pick up an FFL license about 4 years ago because I felt like we were making people impotent with just giving them a security system saying, hey, this is going to help you. Well, really the truth of the matter is you need something a little bit more than a security system. So, but that's what
Exactly.
security does.
You've seen the Terrablock system. Have you had the opportunity to look at the videos we have on that?
So I haven't, and I apologize. We got kind of in this late today. I would love to see it. However,
Okay.
I think I saw that when it was in development. It's the same. It's a stackable system. The Terrablock
Well,
system.
it deploys out of a basically like a Connex via a truck, and then they come in and they fill up a section of it with the earth that's there around it, and
Yeah,
it's a
I did
fenced
see that.
system. You can't climb it, you can't crash through it with a truck. Just an amazing thing, and it's comes with the technology of what is the PID system, the perimeter intrusion detection system. Are you familiar with that?
Several different companies have something similar. Yes, so I do know what you're talking about.
And so that's, one of the things that we like about it is the fact that, if somebody tries to dig under it, we're going to know about it. We're going to be able to send somebody there. If somebody's trying to get over the top of it, we're gonna know about it, and it's going to pick up these type things. Hey, Mike, you were stationed in El Paso. Is that correct? In Texas?
Yeah, correct. I spent 4 years there.
Share with us what's happening down there, what you've personally seen coming across that border that we need to stop.
So I had a very interesting way of looking at it. Most people go down there and they do the whole, we're going to go down and check out the border, or we're going to go see what kind of security they have at the border. Actually living there, I think, is a very different experience, especially it became my home for 4 years. I lived off insulation, so I had my own home in El Paso. I could stand outside my front door and I could see the border wall. So I was very, very, very close to the border wall. So in my times there, seeing the little amount of Border Patrol that was available. We had Border Patrol, of course, on base. The Customs Border Patrol agents, I'm pretty sure, have a connection to Fort Bliss or have an office on Fort Bliss, which is the military installation over on that side. But the amount of manning that I saw on a regular basis over there for the kind of neighborhoods that were around that wall, there's no way you could keep up with it. There's not enough, I would say, action or enough personnel to deal with the amount of stuff that's going on over there. And then the neighborhoods around that border, you would see these nice homes in this nice area up until about 3 blocks from that border. And then you saw kind of more of the reality of the kind of situation that we have around the border, the lower income housing, the just destructive look of everything. It was a total different world. It was definitely a difference in between of what the rest of El Paso looked like and the rest of Texas looked like and what was against that border. And then at the times of being in the military, seeing the things that would come over that border during training exercises, during training patrols, doing stuff out there in the desert. Firsthand see white Toyota trucks driving through the middle of the desert, guys on dirt bikes driving through the middle of the desert, just doing whatever they want to get back and forth through that gate. And like you said, there's parts of that even near Juarez where that that border, the main city that everyone talks about that's related to the cartel, the wall is not what it should be. The security that is there is not what it should be, and it's not a place that I would like to go and just go hang out by any means.
Yeah, exactly. One of my uncles had a land lease down around Brownsville where they were doing deer hunting, and it reached a point where even with them having their deer rifles, they ended up giving up the lease because it was just too damn dangerous. And they were, especially when it came to the cartel getting involved. And I try and tell people, from my personal experience from when I went down there, or the times I've been down there numerous times, but it's actually more unsafe than when I was in Iraq or hell, when I was down in Panama during the Noriega capture days and things like that. I mean, it is a war zone in itself that nobody's covering, and the brave men and women that we have down there on that border that are working, and not just border agents, but the local sheriff's offices that are there, the deputies that are out there working that border up to it, the city police. These men and women are basically in a war zone, especially in the areas where there isn't any, an actual wall built or something to deter them. So we continue to push for anything that can happen between now and election time. The sooner the better. Are you guys, let me ask you, with Security All-Stars, do y'all do any drone stuff? Do y'all have anything like that available?
We don't. I have several friends that, of course, have their aviation license, so they're able to do things to be able to.
Off-site bridge building.
We're able to actually go in and look at property here in Tennessee, but down in the Texas along the border wall, we don't do anything like that. It would be great if we could hook up with some conservatives over there when you all go down that could help. And come to think of it, we used to have down in the San Antonio area, we had some licensed people that work for us doing video. When you go down, let's see if we can connect you. That may be an interesting view to everything that you all actually want to see.
Yeah, thank you, and let my producer Dustin know about that and give him that contact, and we will definitely. I mean, here's my deal. When I'm down there, anyone that has firsthand knowledge that can share with us that we can then turn around and share with America, we can't have enough of that. And and you guys probably know, especially you, Mike, from being down there, there are things happening that the news media won't talk about. They just say that sex trafficking, for instance, but things that are happening that are inhumane, things that are, that we hear ISIS terrorists doing over in the Middle East, actually happening right there on our border, and in many cases in America, because they've come across and were doing whatever they were doing when they were actually captured or apprehended. So we will continue to, spread this word, and anyone that you guys know of, down, especially in the Brownsville area where we're going to start at, we'll be down there next week. Please share, with Dustin their contact information. We'll be more than happy to meet up with them and talk to them, and just continue to push this out there, because somebody has to do it. Somebody has to be involved with stopping this, because, as we will see here, everybody will see here in the next segment, when we actually talk to a father who lost his son for no reason at all, he dropped his girlfriend off and was in his car, and this person comes up and does this savage thing. So hey, Mike, be safe out there, brother. I'm a veteran law enforcement officer too, as well as the military, and you guys are doing a wonderful job. Brad, Security All-Stars, thank you so much for everything you guys do, and for helping us with what we're doing. Very much appreciated. And I hope that in the future we can have both of you come on with us again.
Can I leave you with one thought?
Yes, please.
So there's 3.45 million Muslims in the United States. That's 25% are converted to Islam. So that's 862,500. Statistics say that 40% are capable of being radicalized, but let's just say 10%. That's 86,250 in the United States and 1,725 per state. And they're saying as many as 60% are coming across that border that we're talking about.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
Yeah. When we were down there, most of the people they were apprehending were not from Mexico.
That's right.
And nobody wants to share that. Thank you for doing that. We appreciate it. Guys, thank y'all so much. Folks, we're going to be right back after this break. We're going to have a discussion with Dan Govich. We're going to talk about his son and, you know, the things that you need to know about. You know, I can't stress the importance of this enough. We have a national emergency. We saw the President of the United States declare a national emergency. And you should see, because of the national emergency, things happening on that border 24/7, military vehicles, trucks, troops, you name it. And we don't. So why is that? Why do we have one political party fighting everything we try and do to secure our safety? The same people, by the way, that build walls around their homes and actually have personal security in their freaking yard, and that drive them to and from and bulletproof glass vehicles. You know who I'm talking about. Members of Congress. They want to be protected, but they don't want you to be protected. They don't mind MS-13 gang members coming over. Why? Because, we might be able to get them to sign up and vote for us one day. And in the meantime, they don't suffer. We do. The American people suffer at the hands of some very, very, very bad people. Folks, we'll be right back. Support our movement. Join our cause. Stop by the Douglas Ducote Patriot Shop to get your official Team Ducote apparel and gear.
I'm Dan Govich. I'm the father of Spencer Govich. My son was murdered by an illegal alien on January 31st of 2015, 12:55 a.m. in the morning. He was just sitting at a red light in the neighborhood that I grew up in, and this illegal alien that had a long violent criminal history pulled up next to Spencer and randomly chose my son's head for target practice. And this is my son. He went on to shoot another young man named Juan Garcia. Later that morning, we had the two police officers and the chaplain show up at the door, and that was the beginning of sorrows when we were told. And it's been a place of despair, and we want to just tell our story and let other Texans know the danger that exists and the things that we're being made vulnerable to, and we hope to bring awareness to that.
Dan, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on with us and sharing your tragedy, basically, what happened to your family. And you are one of the shining examples of what great Americans are. And here in America, as an American, your family gets shattered senselessly by something that should have never, a person that never should have been allowed to be here in the first place. we had an opportunity to talk before the show a little bit, and what I really would love is for you to tell us a little bit about Spencer and the type person he was, and the aspirations he had, and where he should be today. You know.
Well, Spencer was first and foremost. For me, he was just the best son I could have ever been blessed with. He was born on September 27th, 1989, and the doctor gave him to me, and he was just a smiley, beautiful little kid. And growing up in the house of a musician, you tend to trip over things like guitars and keyboards and drums. And after he got a certain age, he started picking up these instruments and learning how to play them. So he became a instrumentalist, just like his dad. And he got into the music thing, and I got him a job at the music store that I taught out of when he was 16. And when he was 22, he decided he wanted to go take a swing at being a small businessman, and he bought the music store from the gentleman who had owned it previously. And so he became a small businessman. He employed 9 people, and he was trying to slice out a piece of that American dream. And he was just a great kid. He had a lot of friends. When he was murdered, we had over 1,000 people show up to his. We had to use a big cathedral in Houston. We had people from all over the country. He knew a lot of people, and it was just this surreal thing, Douglas, that you think that will happen to somebody else. It's just something you dream about, and you wake up and you're, oh God, I'm glad that was just a dream. But in my case, on January 31st, 2015, we got the knock on the door. And when you're told those words, everything changes. And the way you see the world, what you thought you were existing in, is completely been changed, turned upside down. And it can be a very hellish place at times. And he was just a great kid. He loved music. He loved people. He left an impact. He was, like I said, he was a small businessman and trying to make his way in the world. Working 2 jobs. He was working 2 jobs because the music retail industry, being what it is, it's kind of a challenge. And he was having to he took on a regular job working in a warehouse, and then he was coming home and going straight to the store and rebuilding it, and would often be there till midnight or 1 in the morning. And he takes one night off, and we were supposed to have the grand opening the next day, and that's when this happened. He just pulled up to a red light, and this illegal alien that had been deported 4 times already just came up and used him for target practice. And he was high on cocaine and alcohol, just out fun shooting. And he went out and picked out some more motorists and shot a couple of more people, killed a couple more people, and then tried to kill a Harris County Sheriff's Department deputy. And unfortunately, we were spared a trial because he lost the last fight and was taken out.
Thank God. Thank God. I served in the military, numerous combat tours, and also in law enforcement. And so, I don't personally know what it's like, and nor would I ever attempt to say that I know what it's like to lose a child. I have several children. I know what it's like to lose brothers and sisters in combat, and I know what it's like to be there to hold family members that have lost a loved one. But the grieving that happens, here's the thing that gets me with the drive-by media. Number one, a lot of times they ask very stupid questions right after something's happened and somebody's lost a loved one. But the other thing is, it's just that small cycle in the news, and then it's over with. But yet your lives go on, and you go on having to, if you want to talk to your boy or share anything or holidays or whatever, you have to go to a cemetery. And these people just continue to do this. I mean, you are one of thousands that have lost a loved one, a family member, to this craziness that can be stopped, at least slowed down. When it comes to, without getting political, and that's the last thing I want to do, but I know for me, it's very disheartening to see members of Congress that do not care to not only get involved with helping secure this country, but they don't seem to give a damn about angel families either. And some of them, from what I'm hearing coming from angel families, won't even go talk to you when you ask or request to talk to them. Have you had the same thing, experienced that as well?
I've worked with Maria Espinoza in the Remembrance Project. I met up with them not much longer after this tragedy with my son happened, and Maria has really shown me a lot of things. And one of the things that she showed me were how a lot of the politicians initially were, when this was happening and it was in the papers, were getting photo ops. But she explained to me and showed me, and I came to see just how true it was, how little they really cared, and how they just. And she's been up in the faces of other. I've seen her in front of representatives and congressmen, and congress ladies, just saying that's not good enough. You're not. And she's running for Congress herself, and she's been on the front lines and the trenches of this battle for a long, long time. She's allowed me to come alongside, and I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand how little they care. That's my message to the American people: is if you have faith in the congressional body up in D.C., you got a very false sense of security, because let me assure you, they couldn't care less about your family, your safety, your inalienable rights, or anything. It's just a cabal, and it's a cabal for sale to the highest bidder. And I think most people that's paid attention know this. It's just a criminal, treasonous cabal right now up in Washington, D.C. And we're going to have to get proactive a lot more than we are as just regular citizens with this issue. We are going to lose the country. There's no question about it. And in probably very short order. We are at the 11th hour with this. We are being invaded. The great multitude of the people that are coming over here, irrespective of if they're criminal or not, they're not coming here with Jeffersonian ideals, Douglas. They're coming here. They're eventually going to get a right to vote, and they're not going to vote for things that assimilation and the things that we used to push in this country. They're not going to vote for those types of ideas. Because it's just a bunch of massive people all at once, and there's no assimilation. And they're not even being asked to assimilate. And so,
right, which is the saddest part of this whole thing. Yeah. I mean, not only that, but I mean, and it's, I see this on a regular basis with veterans that I help fight for. I mean, we see members of Congress that talk such a great game about how we're going to help our veterans, like me, and we're going to do the right thing. And we tell them everything that's got to be done. And then they get elected and they don't give a shit about veterans, and now thankfully I'm exposed to, sadly, what you guys are having to experience when it comes to members of Congress, not caring that you lost a loved one because a percentage of our politicians don't care about anybody's safety but their own.
But we have $130 billion. Yeah, to spend on. What do we spend on veterans? But what do we spend on illegal aliens?
Exactly.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about it. what a slap in the face. What it's just treasonous. I don't know if that's not treasonous, take that word out of the dictionary. If what our Congress is doing to our veterans and our angel families and the American populace in general, if that's not treasonous, we shouldn't have that word. It's criminal, it's treasonous, and I just have nothing but disdain and contempt for these people. I honestly I just have to be honest.
Yeah. And you were telling me earlier that one of your boys has done left the state and has had to move away because he just can't deal with it anymore.
So took his 2 kids and got them the heck out of Dodge. I don't blame him. And I got a younger son that's living with me. He struggles with this. You know, it was he was 20 years old when this happened, and the trauma of this, I can't underscore. It's just amazing how long lasting it is. You know, my mom passed away a few weeks before this happened, and you know, that's a tragedy. It's just something, but it's something that we're acclimated to as human beings. We know that we're going to grow older, and we get around 50 or 55 or 60 or whatever, we're going to lose our parents. But losing your child and just, you know, having it be a normal day, and you come home and you get this phone call or you get this knock on your door and this happens, and then you get told how you lose this child and by who, at whose hand. And then you're going to spend the rest of your days listening to the poor separated families at the border. Meanwhile, you're having to go spend your holidays at the cemetery. That's a family separation story that the mainstream media and the politicians in Washington don't really want to talk too much about. It's just all about people from other countries. And I'm very offended by this. It's not that I have a problem with people from other countries, but I love my people first. I love my country first. I had some grandparents that were Croatian. I never met them, but I'm American. I love Americans first. I don't love Croatians first. I don't love Europeans first. I don't love Mexicans first. I love Americans first. They come first, and I don't want to hear that much about the poor plight of other families from other countries until my own family here in America is taken care of and treated with respect.
Yeah, amen. And not only that, but the lies that come out of it. You know, when we were down there the last time on the border and we talked to, in fact, all the different law enforcement agencies that we interviewed, and we said, you know, if there's anything that we can, you know, share with our audience, you know, what is it that you want, you know, Congress to know? And they said, we want to know why they stop at the detention center and they don't come down here and take off their suit and tie and join us out on the freaking border watching the shit that we have to deal with every single night and day with this illegal immigration disaster of, you know, gang members and drugs and sex trafficking and you know, and people just being treated worse than, well, like I said earlier, like ISIS terrorists treat people, you know, and I want to know too, and I know you want to know, why aren't members of Congress going down there and physically meeting with the men and women that are hands-on? Instead, they sit at the detention center and cry and talk about how they're being kept in cages and separated. And, you know, it's such a mind-boggling fairy tale that I can only imagine for somebody that's lost their child, how pissed off that would make you, because it pisses me off when I see it firsthand.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, just to have to hear it, have a daily diet of this, just shoveled in our face constantly. You know, these poor families that thumb their nose that are at the immigration laws that are designed to protect our children. Oh, we got to feel sorry for them. We got to worry about them, and they come first. They come first, you know, and that's the first order of business with our United States legislative branch. You know, that's just, what are we going to do for the people from other countries? What do we do to make them happy, to not hurt their feelings, and screw Americans? We have to tax and to pay for all this, and screw the vets, and screw the angel families. You know, too bad. That's just we're willing to offer your child up as a blood sacrifice to our agenda, which is basically destroying this country.
Right.
And They're
Right.
going to turn this country into something that these illegal aliens are running away from, to the point where they won't even want to come anymore.
And we are, a lot of people don't realize how close we are to Texas turning blue.
Exactly.
And,
We almost
and when
elected.
that happens, better hell, the last person out of Texas take down the flag, because it's going to go to hell.
Yeah, I mean, look at the electoral map. You lose Texas on the federal level, man, it's going to be really hard to ever put another Republican president in there. It's going to be hard to get. You can forget ever securing the border. The United States is effectively over, because if you don't have sovereignty, if you don't have a border that's a respected border, you don't really have a country. What you have is an economic zone for the globalists, which is exactly what they're pushing for. And it's going to be, we can all sheepishly march into the corral, and the communist corral, and that's where it's headed. And I saw your show in regards to this terror wall and this technology and the things that you were putting out there. And that's why I reached out to you guys, because I'm like, this is a viable, substantive idea that we can do in very short order, that I just want to get a bullhorn and go downtown and scream it. Listen, we've got to do this. People, you can't just go pull the lever on election day and think that's going to fix things. You have got to be proactive. Whatever your gifts or your skills or your talents are, whatever you can lend to this, you've got to help us. If we don't do this together, we're gonna drown together in a dystopian type of nightmare that's coming. And this freedom didn't just fall out of the sky like manna.
Right.
And a government that recognizes our inalienable rights, that's something that's rare in the whole annals of history. It's something that can be taken away, and it's about to.
Yeah. I hope that those that are watching this show tonight can see the it's a combination, folks, that's never going to go away. You know, Dan and his family and all the other angel families, it's a combination of hurt and anger, and the worst part of it all, because you can't bring them back. So I say it's that you have a government that just doesn't seem to give two shits about what you went through and suffered through. And that's got to change. You know, there's no reason whatsoever, none, zero. There's no way it should have ever happened. This guy should have never been allowed back in America. And we have a corrupt justice system in many cases. We have judges that, you know, this guy got deported, what you said, 4 times?
4 times. Judge let him off. He was supposed to do, the sentencing guidelines were 20 years for what his last offense was, attempted murder. But because he made this attempt, he did this thing in front of people, everybody saw it. It actually happened when he was incarcerated. So it's not like he could say, I didn't do it. But because he said, yeah, I did do it, the judge gave him 5 years instead. And so he did his 5 years, was deported in 2010, turned right back around, came right back and set up shop in the sanctuary city of Houston. And the gun that he used to kill my son was traced back to a burglary. And all these gun laws that the left pushed, none of that would have stopped this guy. Okay.
Right.
And my advice is to every American: get armed and get trained and be situationally aware, because you're not living in June and Ward Cleaverland anymore. You're living in what's becoming more and more a war zone. These people that are coming up from south of the border, Douglas, and you know this, they're on par with anything you've seen in ISIS. They chop people's arms off. They skin people alive. They don't care. It is a culture that has been, desensitized to the things that we find disgusting. There's just so many stories. All you have to do is go look at the Stolen Lives quilt. That's the Remembrance Project. And you look at all these families, all these little children, American citizens that have had the same story that I'm having to tell, and it's growing. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. Dan, I want you to know that Team Ducote is with you. We're going to work together to do everything we can in our power to share with the American people everything we can about what happened in your situation and other Angel families' situation, and what we need to do and have to do to get this border secure yesterday. There's absolutely no reason for that to be the case, that we don't. I mentioned to you earlier that we will get together. You and I will sit down and share some coffee soon. We're right across the Louisiana-Texas border from each other. There's no reason not to. I want to shake your hand. I want to give you a hug. I want to be a part of helping you find a solution so that no other family has to go through what you guys are having to experience. And it's not right. And we're going to do everything we can here at Team Ducote to help you spread your message and make it a part of it's something, like I said last night on our program, this border needs to be something that is talked about at everybody's dinner table, for crying out loud. Everybody should be talking about what's happening. And I do believe that a lot of the reason why it's not is because that news cycle is only this long. And then even when they're there to show it, they won't go into the details that need to be done to show exactly what's happening. So I appreciate very much you taking the time to share with our audience what you've gone through and to share about your son. I wish I'd have had the opportunity to have met him, but I do know that I feel confident I'm going to get the opportunity to meet his dad real soon, somebody that I respect greatly. So thank you so much, sir, for coming on and sharing your story with us. And we will be seeing each other face to face very soon.
Well, Douglas, I greatly appreciate the work you're doing and the work you've done and your service to the country. And I just tell your listeners, that your subscribers out there, that we need to coalesce, and we need to get behind men like this, because I turn on his YouTube channel, and what I see a guy that's mad. It's time to get mad. It's righteous rage. We need to get people angry about this. It's a right reaction. Not out of control anger, but the type of anger you're talking about, where it motivates you to do something. That's what I'm seeing here, and that's why I'm just behind you 100% on this.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Dan. Love you, brother. We'll see you soon. All right, folks. I will be right back with closing comments about tonight's show and other exciting things that you'd love to hear come out of my mouth. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic.
And we're back. I'd like to once again say a special thank you to our guests tonight, Brad Stetz and Sergeant Mike Wilson with Security All-Star, for sharing with us their information, and also with Dan Govich for sharing his story. We're going to be talking a lot more with all three of these gentlemen in the very near future. Look, President Ronald Reagan made it very clear that we are a generation away from losing everything that our forefathers fought for. I'm telling you, that generation is here. They are walking around us right this very moment. I cannot stress enough of just how hateful and outright disgusting some of those people are that are not conservative, not Republican, not American patriots. I know many Democrats and liberals that I would die for, that are my friends, but they're not 5150 nut jobs like the average is, those such as Antifa or those such as Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or Adam Schiff or AOC or Rashid Tlaib, Alihan Omar. I could go on and on of all the people that hate this country. Every day I get hate mail and I get phone messages that are beyond sickening. I get death threats against me, against my family, against my pets. And they know my pets' names because I share that on social media because I love my pets. And they say things that just boggle the mind because they don't believe in the same ideology that the rest of us do. And they believe that if you don't feel and understand where they're coming from, then you are wrong in their minds. And therefore, they turn to evil things. And they say some of the most horrible and disgusting things known to mankind about other humans. These people are everywhere. And they're not going away anytime soon. They don't like our forefathers. They don't like our Constitution. They don't like our flag. They want to kneel during the national anthem. They want open borders. They don't care if people come across the border and slaughter your loved ones as long as it's not theirs. They want ICE law enforcement dismantled. Hell, they don't even want law enforcement. They sure as hell don't love veterans or our military. They're evil people, and sadly, most of them were born here in America. And many of them managed to get in high places in our society, such as Congress. I'm here to tell you that we will continue to do our best to expose these evil people. And the closer we get to 2020, the worse it's going to get, my friends, as far as how they pick up their attack. Because they also own all the social media platforms. And they are doing everything in their power to silence the voices of people like me. People like me that will bring to you truth and fact above and beyond. And it was just put to me like this recently, that I make Fox News look like CNN, because I'm not afraid to tell you the damn truth of what's happening in this country. I served with honor for this country in combat and in law enforcement. I've seen the very worst of humanity, and yes, I've seen the very best of humanity. But I'm telling you, what's happening in America is absolutely wrong. This president, Donald J. Trump, regardless of what you think of him, can't fix it by himself. And he is being fault at every turn, no matter what he does. Every Democrat that voted, and Republican, because there were some of them too, that voted not to fund security on this border and are calling for the dismantle of our ICE and our detention centers and our border agents. Well, I'm not going to go into sharing with you in my mind what I'd like to do, but they disgust me, and I wouldn't spit in their mouth if they were dying of thirst. This shit has to stop. No more. Families do not need to wake up or find someone knocking on their door, a chaplain in law enforcement, to tell them that their loved one was slaughtered and killed by illegal immigrant. It shouldn't happen. But yet, when was the last time you heard anything talked about what's happening on that border? They say no news is good news. Bullshit. I'm here to tell you, nothing changed. In fact, it's gotten worse. We have solutions. We're bringing you those solutions, for instance, with the Terrablock system. And we will continue to partnership up with people that will help us, and we will help them share with you, the American patriot, what's really going on out there. And we will call on you to help us as social media starts destroying people like me and others that you've already seen them do. We have to turn to other places to get our message out there. For me, it's DouglasDucote.com. If you haven't already done so, please go over there and sign up. Put your email address in. It's free. Because one day you're going to turn on YouTube and I'm not going to be there, or Facebook or Twitter, because they don't want the truth out there. I'm going to bring on my producer, Dustin Gold, real quick before we close out the show. Dustin, how are you, brother?
Oh, wonderful, man. That was heartbreaking. But I was telling the audience in the chat, I spent a few hours over the last couple of days talking to Dan. You know, he's an incredible guy. And one of the things is I was watching the two of you talk, and I've been telling people in the chat about this idea of launching Veterans for Border Security and Angels for Border Security. I think it's two groups of people that will be a powerful voice together. Again, all we want to do is refine this solution and bring it to the White House and demand of President Trump a meeting with either Immigration Czar Ken Cuccinelli, his son-in-law Jared Kushner, who they say may be taking over the border security project, you know, or Stephen Miller, President Trump's senior advisor, who's been an immigration hawk for many years, and say, look at this solution. If there's something wrong with it, we'll go back, we'll do the hard work, we'll put it together, but this needs to get done, and it needs to be deployed within the next year before the election. It has to go, not so that he can win an election, in case he loses the election. At least this is a physical system coupled with technology, National Guard. Yeah, the next president can undo it. They can take it down. We'll let them do it then. But when I look at you two guys, as someone like yourself who served overseas and came back with injuries, physical injuries, mental injuries, had close friends die in combat, and one of the big worries I see talking to you all the time in your personal life is struggling with, especially being interested in following politics and what's going on, is struggling with whether or not your fellow warriors, died in vain. And we look at the situation right here tonight with Dan. His son was murdered. And he went out there and put himself out as an activist to try to advance these issues and these policies. We don't want his son to have died in vain and Doug's friends to have died in vain. Right now, with the audience, I ask you guys if you could even volunteer. If you're an angel parent, if you're a veteran, email me at dustin@douglasducote.com. I'm going to start putting these together. We're going to do some private video meetings with Doug, start to organize these two groups. If you're not a veteran, if you're not an angel parent, then volunteer to help us with whatever skills you have. If you're a graphic designer, if you could help us with some websites. I don't want to build these into big long-term non-profits or anything like that. It's not a fundraising scam. It's to put two voices together, two communities of people together that have a right. They have a right, as we all do, but I think they earn the right, even more so, to be able to come forward, get these guys on TV, demand that we get a meeting at the White House. I said it last night, and I'll say it again. The Chamber of Commerce, the Silicon Valley guys, the Wall Street fat cats, the big military contractors, they all get a seat at the table. They all get a seat at the table. These meetings go on every day at the White House. And this is not unique to President Trump. This has been going on forever. But the American people, the middle America guy, doesn't have a representative, doesn't have a voice. And I think we can build the Veterans for Border Security and Angels for Border Security to come together, and hopefully you guys can spark all kinds of movements that come out of this. I don't care, blue-collar workers for border security. This will be a movement that is not launched by and controlled by the Trump campaign or any campaign. It's not controlled by the Republican National Committee. It's not controlled by the Koch brothers. It's not controlled by Karl Rove. It's not controlled by any of these political operatives. These will be truly organic grassroots movements to drive our policy solution to the White House. We have now been told by some people, new friends of the show, we have direct contacts to Stephen Miller in the White House, to Ken Cuccinelli in the White House, to Chris Kobach, who's had Donald Trump's ear for a while. He ran Donald Trump's voter fraud committee. So we're making contacts right now where we are 1 degree from the White House. And as we refine this policy, as soon as we get back from the border next week, we're going to put this together, like we said, into a one-page policy, layman's terms. We don't want it complicated like these giant omnibus spending bills you see. And then we start getting Doug and Dan and others on television and demand our seat at the table at the White House. And I do not think that it's impossible. Otherwise, I wouldn't spend my time and use my creativity and my talents to do this. Because trust me, it's not like we're making a lot of money. But this is something that can be done. It's totally 100% achievable. And if we cannot do it under President Trump, it will never happen. Kiss the border goodbye. Kiss the country goodbye. The Democrats told you they want to eliminate border security. They want to eliminate ICE. They want to eliminate Border Patrol. That means they want to erase America. They've admitted that. And the Republicans have shown you in the first 2 years when we controlled the House and Senate that they were a bunch of liars too, because they wouldn't give President Trump the money. So we have to do this as Americans. You ask us all the time, what do you want us to do? I want you to email us. I want you to get involved. I want you to start to become part of these private video conferences we're going to have. And let's plan this and let's do this together. It's achievable. We can at least get the ability to put Doug and Dan in front of President Trump where they can look him in the eye and say, sir, you've been so respectful to the military and veteran community and so respectful to the Angel families. We have a solution. You made this promise. Deliver. Deliver. And we, the American people, are behind you. So God bless you, Doug. Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you, Brad Stats, for coming on, and Sergeant Mike Wilson for your service. Thank you all very much, and God bless this audience. You guys are fantastic.
Very well said. Thank you, Dustin, and to all of Team Ducote, Chrissy Piccolo, and Dustin Gold and Marilyn Williams. Look, we're doing everything we can in our power to bring you the facts and bring you the truth about what is happening. We need you to be with us. It's a team effort as we move forward to 2020 and beyond. We can't do this by ourselves. We need the American patriots to feel the way we do about this country and about our Constitution to step forward and help us. Please share this video and all the videos that I have out. Please let everybody know about our show. And as always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families. Their families serve too. Our Angel families, our Blue and Gold Star families, our president, and our country. Thank you for watching. God bless you all, and I'll see you next time. For now, I'm Douglas Ducote, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, and blessed day.
Protect your guns and ammo from moisture, mildew, and rust. Use promo code OBC for free shipping on your next purchase. Made in America by Americans. Lifetime warranted. FirearmGuard.com.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and